Anyway, when people say that they hate French administration, there's a reason. Like, the bureaucracy is crazy, they're slow. Hello and welcome back to Shedakes. Oh, I'm looking at myself, not the lens. Sorry. Hello, welcome back to Shedakes. This is my channel where I talk about life as an international student in France, how I got here, how you can get here, a little of some lifestyle things. Last week I started movie reviews. If you haven't seen that, check my last video. And yeah, basically that's it. Welcome. Today it's story time. I'm gonna gist you guys about my experience actually getting the French APS. So let's start from, what is the APS? APS stands for Autorisation Provisoire de Séjour, and basically when you come to France as an international student or a foreign national to school, you are promised an additional 1 year residence permit that lets you stay back to look for a job or to start a business. So basically that's what the APS is. So of course, ideally you have finished your academic year, you have passed, and then you apply for the APS like before your current study visa expires. Usually there are so many different timelines to this thing depending on who you're asking, and that makes sense now in hindsight. Some people say, oh, 2 weeks before your current permit expires. Some people say 1 month before. Some people say 3 months before. So it's like, what am I supposed to do? However, in my case, I think from when I first started, it took me from when I first started to when I eventually got like the receipt, like the main appointment, it took me 4 months. And from, you will understand as I go along with the story, but from when the main thing started happening, it took me a month to that appointment. So maybe 1 month, right? However, there are a lot of things that you have to do before that time. So it depends on where you live and how they are in your area. So you might be wondering, why did it take that long? You know what people always say, I don't know how much of French YouTube videos or YouTube videos of people in France that you've seen, but when people say that they hate and detest the French administration, French people say that too, so it's really weird because it's French people, Francophone people that are in French administration. So if everybody hates them, then who is there? Like, it's you people. They just run you around in circles. Anyway, it took long. Why? Now, when you're applying for the APS, right, like I said, you must have finished your academic year, blah, blah, blah. There's some supporting documents that you're supposed to bring, like maybe your former study permit, the initial visa, and the initial residence permit attached to that visa. Proof of having finished school, which is transcript and the certificate or attestation. What else? Proof of accommodation, which can be like your what you call that thing, like your electricity bill or something. What else did they ask me to bring? And a few other things, like nothing major, right? Now, I started trying to apply, I think 6 weeks before my visa was to expire. My visa was to expire like around the end of January, and I started applying or trying to get an appointment like the end of November. Actually like more like 2 months, but my appointment date was mid-December, so that's where the 6 weeks is coming from. Now I got my appointment. I was like, oh, this thing is not as hard as people say, blah blah blah, I'm gonna go for my appointment. I got there, I was like, oh, j'ai un rendez-vous aujourd'hui. They checked the thing, and then they asked me to go in, joined one line, sat down for a while. Like, they'll give you a tally number, and then you'll be seeing the number on the screen and everything. So I waited, then I saw my number on the screen, then I went to the place that I was supposed to go to, the desk that I was supposed to go to, and then the lady checks my documents, and then she's nodding like, oh, this is okay, this is okay, this is okay, and then she gets to my certificate, and then she's like, no, c'est pas vrai. Huh? What do you mean that's not the right one? Like, what? I'm like, that's it. Then she was like, no, ça c'est provisoire, j'ai besoin définitive. I'm like, huh? So what she said was that what I brought to her was the provisional certificate, and what I need to apply for the APS is the definitive certificate. Now, let's back up. Now, we had finished the school year, we had written all our exams, blah, blah, blah. You have your transcript and your provisional certificate. Provisional because obviously the jury hasn't met, and the jury was going to meet like sometime in 2023. This was like December 2022, blah 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 blah. So I'm like, no, now like the jury is meeting just to, what's the word, ratify this thing. They're not going to be like, oh, suddenly I didn't pass, or suddenly I'm not graduating. Like the people that are not graduating, the people that maybe didn't meet all the requirements for graduation, did not even get this provisional and did not get the transcripts, because obviously that's like you telling them that they finished school and whatever. So, but she was like, no, it's the rule. I have to bring the definitive and all of that. I should go to my school and ask them for the definitive. So that was the end of my appointment. I carried my kaya and I left. Then I think I sent a mail to my school. Those on share ran me around until somebody said, oh, talk to this lady, she's the head of the Scolarité, blah blah blah, which is like the admin in support of students or whatever. So I go there, bless her heart. She's like, oh, I understand, blah blah blah, but like literally there's nothing she can do, because only the jury has the power to give the definitive certificate, and the jury is not going to meet until the end of February, and she can't bring the meeting forward and whatever. So she says, oh, maybe we can explore this. I should try to send an email to the prefecture, which is, so in France, when you're trying to do anything that has to do with like your residence permit, not the initial visa, but like renewal of an actual residence permit card, you go through the police departments, not embassy, not immigration, not whatever. You go through the police department. So she was like, oh, and they call them the prefecture, like prefecture, the police. So she said I should send an email to the prefecture and mention to them that, oh, my school jury is going to meet at this time, blah blah blah, but my visa is going to expire before then, and that I should, what did she say I should do? And that I should copy her in the email. That so maybe if they see an official email, if they respond, she too can respond to them and explain the situation to them, blah 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 blah, and let's see if they can work with that in the meantime. Meanwhile, the lady at the initial appointment had told me that in this case I should try to renew my study visa, and I'm like, huh? First of all, I don't want anything that has to do with 20 hours per week work. Like, let's not even go there. That's one. Secondly is, I don't want to be enrolled to another school year, because one, I have to now pay to re-enroll. I don't have any classes to take. I don't have carryover. Like, why am I re-enrolling to school? But a lot of people actually do that. But in their cases, in a lot of cases that I've heard of, they don't re-enroll to their initial school. They just go and register for another course in another school, and then the school gives them like an acceptance letter or whatever. Then they take it to the embassy or wherever it is that they take it to apply for a new study permit and all of that. But I'm like, nah, that's not my destiny. I'm not in the middle of this. I'm not interested in this. I don't want that, because I also didn't know how it was going to work, because once I have another study visa for a year, I can't apply for the APS within that year. I have to wait out that year, like finish the new course, and then just be like, oh, by the time I'm done, my initial APS, like all the documents will be ready. I'll have my definitive certificate from my initial school, and then I can then use that to apply for like the APS and all that. So I'm like, no, I'm not spending 2 years going to school. I did not come here to come out of school for 2 years. Like, I'm not doing that. I don't have the patience for that. I need a job, and I need a proper job. Like, I don't have 1 year to waste, blah blah. So yeah, that happened. So the lady told me that I should try to, and that if I don't want like a new school year, I should try to, what did she call it, extend, or yeah, ask for an extension of my current residence permit. So I'm like, oh, is that possible? How do I do that? French administration, they're so annoying. And then she was like, oh, c'est en ligne, it's online. Okay, where, which website, where is the link, do you have it anywhere? She was like, no, on va chercher. I have to search and check. So that I started checking. I couldn't find anywhere that said anything about any extension. It was either you were like resuming a new school year or something, and you can't even lie, like in my case, because they will ask you for supporting documents like proof of enrollment into the new school year and results from the last school year. So of course I had results, but I'm not going to go and pay another school fee, so I didn't have proof of enrollment into a new school year and all that. So I'm like, that's that about that. Anyway, in the meantime, I decided that, oh, okay, I was going to just keep the proof of me trying to renew my residence permit. At this point, my visa had even already expired. So I was just like, oh, I'm going to keep proof of being in the midst of renewing my residence permit. So I had like proof from the initial appointment. It had dates and stamps and whatever. Then the emails that I sent, I think I printed out a page of it or something that shows like the content and the email address that it went to. I think maybe I had a couple of things, and also I'm like, in case anybody stops me and wants to see my residence permit or something, I will be like, oh, I'm trying to renew it and here is proof and all that. But that never even happened. Nobody ever asked me anything. So, but I told them where I was working to say that, oh, this is happening, I'm trying to renew it, blah 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 blah. So they also asked me for proof of trying to renew it, and they said, okay, they'll hold on to this until I get the new one. So I'm like, you guys are nice, thanks. Eventually I got this almighty definitive certificate on the last day of February. Then I reapplied for the thing like the same day. Aside, there's so many links out there, there's so many types of residence permits, and people were literally just applying to anything because we weren't even sure anymore like which one is the APS. Because when you find the site, it doesn't actually call it APS. I can't remember the name it calls it, like Rese something. It doesn't actually call it APS, so it's very confusing and could be disconcerting, like which one am I supposed to apply for and which one am I not. So people are just applying to anything like, after all, I'm going to get proof that I applied to something. There's one that I even applied for also around that time. Till today, they've not even answered me. So I'm like, oh, so if you were the only thing that I applied for, that's how I'll be waiting. 6 months later, nothing. So anyway, I applied the same day I got the thing. I think they replied me within 7 days, saying that, oh, my documents were complete, and that I had an appointment. So they gave me the address to the appointment, and then they said, I think it was the 30th of March or the 31st of March, one of those two. This was like the 4th of March that they replied me. So I'm like, why do I have to wait till the end of the month, you guys, to go for an appointment? Why? But I didn't have a choice. But again, I printed out that email saying that I had an appointment. I added it to my list of supporting documents in case anybody asked me. Nobody eventually did, but yeah, I added it. And then basically I just had those things, like if I was going somewhere serious, I would take the physical copy. Otherwise I had like photos on my phone that I'm like, if anybody stops me, I will show them this and all that. So on the 31st of March, I carried all my other supporting documents, went for this appointment, and it was seamless. I did the thumb printing, what else? Basically, it was seamless. And then they gave me the récépissé. So the récépissé is like the... Récépissé in French means like receipts of something. But basically, it's like the paper that you get saying that you have applied for the residence card and your residence card was being prepared. So yeah, basically. So some people say you can travel with it, you can come back inside France with the récépissé. Other people say you can't. And then even when you ask if you ask like officials, the responses are always different. Some people are like, oh yeah, sure. Some people are like, no, go and ask as your prefecture. And you're just like, can I travel or can I not? So in that case, I was just like, I'm not going anywhere. Like, I'm not even going to the Schengen area. Like, God no go shame us before they send me back to Nigeria from the Spanish border or something. But yeah, so I was just like, okay, I'm just going to wait for the card. And I was told that you would get a message when your card was ready, usually within a month. Sometimes it takes longer, but within a month. 3 weeks later, I get a text message saying that my card was ready for pickup and that I should book an appointment for the pickup. And the message literally had no way to book the appointment, like no link, no website, no nothing. So I'm like, okay, how am I supposed to do this? So I do some research, and then I found the website that I'm supposed to book the appointment from, and there was no available dates. Just when you think that French people have shown you enough shege and that, oh, finally, I'm at the end of the line, it's about to be over, they're just like, no, here's another curveball, take it. So I started doing some research, and then I found that getting an appointment is another rat race on its own. Like, people literally struggle with this. Like, you'd be on the website and they'll be telling you that there's no date, there's no date, there's no date. And if you keep trying, which happened to me a couple of times, the thing would lock you out and be like, you've made too many attempts, come back another time or something like that. So I was basically checking like every other hour. And eventually, maybe like after 10 days, I found a date. This 10 days was like early May or late April. It was late April. It was like 20 something April. And then the first available date that I saw was like June 6th or something. So I'm just like, qu'est-ce qui se passe? Like, what's happening? After struggling to find the date, how is the date still like 5 weeks away? Like, what is happening? Gone. Anyway, no choice now. I picked the date, I picked the time, and then they sent me receipts. I had to pay for some stamp duty, whatever, but it was supposed to be done online. So I did that, and then when the almighty date finally came, I went there. The process was seamless, except that there was a long line of people trying to pick up, but it wasn't stressful, basically. So I eventually picked up the card, and I'm like, I suffered a lot for you. It's been a long time coming. I'm gonna hold you close to my chest. But yeah, that was the story, or that is the story of how I got my first residence permit en France. Not the visa, not the paper visa that is stuck to your passport, like the actual residence card. So yeah, and it's the one for you to start a business or to get a job. So it's actually written on it the type of permit that it is, and the duration and the expiry date and all of that. So yeah, so if you're schooling in France or you're planning to school in France, here's just to let you know that you will need energy and a lot of patience for this process. And what I've described here is the process or the procedure that I went through in Paris. The procedure actually differs from place to place depending on what your prefecture is and where you live. I feel like some places that in even the Parisian suburbs have like different procedures and all of that. Some you have to go and fill like the paper form. I eventually filled my form online. Yeah, the first place I went in December, they gave me a physical form to fill. And the second time that I actually had the full thing, I filled the form online completely. So yeah, it depends on where your appointment is and whatever. So it might not be exactly the way I've described it, and the timelines might differ. What they ask you for might differ. Just bear in mind like this is a rough guide for you to know that it's not sharp. It's not like I applied today, I got it next week or anything like that. I don't think anywhere in France would respond to you within 2 weeks. They don't take you that seriously. They're just like, people that if you even send an email, like outside of like French administration, maybe your school or something, you send an email to somebody and you're like, oh, I sent you an email maybe yesterday or something, and they're literally saying to you that it's an email, you're not supposed to be expecting like swift response, and you're just like, See, French people are on a different vibe. Just yeah, basically I hope that you found this helpful, and I will see you in my next one. À bientôt.